Okay, so this is episode 90, which is kind of wild because More Than Blockchain has come a long way since I rebranded this podcast back in March of 2022. And if I'm being honest, the entire last 89 episodes, when I talk about Bitcoin or crypto or anything that's part of the blockchain backed ecosystem, but more specifically with Bitcoin, I really am starting to think that the biggest risk around Bitcoin is just strictly ignoring it. So let's dive into why. I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is More Than Blockchain. Okay, as I said just now in the intro, I've been thinking about this particular episode for probably the last 89 episodes. But to be fair, I didn't really want to say what I'm about to say. I felt like it was inappropriate. And for content creators who talk about crypto or Bitcoin or NFTs or anything related to buying of anything or using your money to invest on some level, there's something that content creators always say. And it's very simple. We say this is not financial advice. Well, on this episode, I'm going to kind of go against that. Not kind of, I'm going to go against that because I think it's time that we talk about what I perceive to be the biggest risk of Bitcoin, which I think is ignoring it. And I'm going to break this up into two parts. The first part is when you ignore it, you are shutting down your curiosity. And so by not asking, hey, what is Bitcoin? Hey, should I learn about Bitcoin? Is it worth it to learn about Bitcoin? Why would I learn about Bitcoin? The first part here is just simply not learning about Bitcoin, not taking the time to learn about Bitcoin. I think is going to become a more and more expensive proposition. Now we're talking about money for everyone on earth. And maybe 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, for someone to get on a podcast or content creator to say, hey, you should learn about something, might have been kind of myopic or not really thinking it all the way through. But over the last 10 years, advances in smartphone technology and also our ability to connect people around the planet has a large majority of people, billions and billions and billions of people who are connected now, who have a smartphone and either have a data package or they can connect to Wi-Fi. There are many places all around the world where you can go to a park and they have Wi-Fi parks where you can go connect because they know how valuable it is for people to be on the internet. It's a way that we socialize. And so my first thing is not learning about Bitcoin is at this point for me just lazy. And I'm trying to take into account that, yes, there are people on the planet that don't have access to maybe smartphone technology or connectivity, whether through a data package or Wi-Fi. So I do want to be open to that. And then the second part, and this is going to be a really short QuickPod, is that not learning about it first, that's like step A. And then once you learn about it, just taking the time to figure out how, wherever you are on the planet, to invest. Now we're getting into the thing where normally content creators would say, this is not financial advice. But what I've been feeling for a long time, and I'm finally going to say it, feels good to get up on stage and say this. I am feeling that the longer you don't take step A, and I think you should first learn about it. I think you should first read about it. You can download a podcast. You can put it in Google, what is Bitcoin? You can put it in ChatGPT, the free version, which everyone can have with just an email. You can go on YouTube and search Bitcoin. You can search hashtag Bitcoin on any social network and just start to dive into what content creators are saying and what the news is. So that's step one. And now step two, like I said, is where I'm going to go back on the whole idea of content creators. We always say this is not financial advice. Well, here I am saying it out loud. This is financial advice. I feel very comfortable now saying that if you're listening to this podcast, you should have exposure to Bitcoin. You should own $5 a Bitcoin, $10 a Bitcoin, $50 a Bitcoin, whatever you can honestly afford to invest in it. And I say that now because Bitcoin could potentially be bigger than just financial advice. It's not like buying a piece of Tesla or Tesla stock. It's not like buying a single family home as an investment. If Bitcoin does half of what myself and other people in the Bitcoin community and the crypto community think, then not investing in Bitcoin today in 2023, in August of 2023, could be something you will look back on and be like, I wish I had done that differently. I wish when I had listened to More Than Blockchain or heard any other content creator or heard, there's now Bitcoin being talked about on every major news network, at least in the United States. Bitcoin is being talked about in publications across the world in all different languages. So you've heard of Bitcoin. And now I'm just asking that you start to learn about it. And then from there, invest $5 in Bitcoin and hold it for 4 years. No one has ever lost money. And we're just going to talk about money now as an investment. No one has ever lost any money if they've held Bitcoin for more than 48 months in the entire life cycle of Bitcoin. And I could get more into why this exists, and I'll tag some stuff below. But owning a little bit of Bitcoin, $5, I think is something everyone should do. Now, I talked earlier in the first risk thing here where I was like, hey, you should learn about it. And I feel confident saying that now because billions of people have access to smart technology, have a smartphone, and they can connect to the internet for fairly cheap no matter where they are. I'm currently in Colombia, and with a smartphone, I can go get a data package for about $2 that I can connect to the internet for a good amount of time, enough to be able to go into the internet, a Safari, a Google Chrome browser, and say, hey, what is Bitcoin? Now, on the second side, where I'm asking people to invest even just $5, right? Because the name of this episode is the biggest risk to Bitcoin is just ignoring it. So let's go ahead, let's learn about it, and then let's invest even just $5. And I have no qualms about saying this out loud. This is financial advice. I am also highly aware that there are billions of people on the planet who are living paycheck to paycheck. There are billions of people on the planet that do not have savings. There are billions of people on the planet who, at whatever age they are, if they look far enough into the future, they may not feel really confident about their own retirement plan, meaning that their financial status and their financial standing is not one that's healthy or not one that's exciting. And when I say this, I'm not just talking about the developing world or the global south, or maybe a place far, far away with people that don't speak the language that you speak. If you're in the United States, I'm talking to you as well. Many people in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck. Many people in the United States don't have an emergency fund set aside to cover $400 to $500 in the event that their car breaks down, or they have some health scare and they need some money to buy some medicine that's not covered by their insurance. I'm going to attach below in the episode show notes a link to a CNBC video that came out recently that talks about the situation in the United States because it's not a good one. So I am aware that people are struggling, but I'm also aware that $5 is something hopefully many people can scrape together, even if it takes a month, if it takes 2 months, and then figure out a way to invest in Bitcoin. So there you have it. This is an episode I've been wanting to say out loud for probably the last 89 episodes, and it's a conversation I'm starting to have more candidly with close friends and family of mine because I'm starting to see Bitcoin, it's not just an investment. It could be a vehicle to protect yourself against future uncertainty. And we live in a world of uncertainty. So Bitcoin for many people is kind of like the ark when a flood comes. It hopefully will keep you safe. So there it is. Learn about Bitcoin, please, and then invest $5. Thanks for checking out this episode of More Than Blockchain. And as always, go ahead and find us on social media at More Than Blockchain. If you want to learn about Bitcoin and you've gone through all of More Than Blockchain's content and you just didn't find the answer, please go ahead. You can DM us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and say, hey, I was curious about this part of Bitcoin and I promise I will get back to you. I think Bitcoin is really important if you can't tell. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and share it with a family member, colleague, friend, whoever. Bitcoin is something we should all be learning about because I think the risk not to learn about it is becoming greater every single day. No matter where you're listening to the podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. And thanks again for checking out More Than Blockchain. I'll see you next time.